I just completed an interview with Meng Teck and it was extraordinary. He was able to pull out stories that I've never shared before. It went deep. I went deep into how I grew up, how certain values in my life has helped me achieve success as well. And I am sure that if you listen to this interview, you listen to the golden nuggets of wisdom, you'll be able to apply it and really go to the next level in your life as well. So I look forward to you listening to the interview and give Meng Teck a follow.
So here I have Resh with me. He's an author, entrepreneur, and a philanthropist. Later you'll hear his story of how he got started, and as well, he's also a fitness enthusiast. So you get a lot of tips on how to build wealth, as well as how can you maintain a good physique as well, right? He's a very inspirational figure to me, mainly because he has very good discipline. So how are you, Resh?
I'm great, man. I'm fantastic. Thank you very much for coming down to my place. I really appreciate it.
Okay, thank you for being my first guest for my interview video.
Yeah.
So just to ask you a little bit, today we see you being an author, entrepreneur, and international speaker as well. You have been speaking in India recently, in India's Independence Day. Later we'll talk more about your success, but let's talk about your childhood first. How was your childhood like?
So my childhood was very, actually it was very normal. It was very, I grew up in Singapore. I was born and raised in Singapore. I come from a very middle class family. My dad is actually from Malaysia. He's actually from Ipoh. And my mother, she works as a nurse, right, in Singapore. So I grew up in a very, very normal background. Growing up, interestingly, I was, there are a few things that I realized in my childhood that kind of shaped who I was today. Growing up as a child, I felt a little bit inferior, and the reason why was because I was always kind of short. Being a minority in Singapore as well. I always had these challenges with regards to being different. I was not like everybody else. I was the one Indian boy in class. I was the darker one. I was the shorter one. So I had a lot of insecurities growing up. Around girls, around myself and stuff like that. So, there was some of the challenges that I actually faced as a child growing up. But besides that, I had really good parents who taught me some really, really good values growing up. Yeah, man, some seriously good values. And, I thank God that I had brilliant parents who raised up, I would like to think, a good child. Yep.
Okay. So, was it because of the being short and a minority in Singapore that, because a lot of people grow up today, they may be living like maybe they are an employee, nothing wrong with being an employee or what, but what you're doing is different from what a lot of people are doing.
Absolutely.
And I would consider you as a overachiever.
Okay, cool.
Right?
Yeah.
So was being short and as well as minority in Singapore a contributing factor towards it?
Interesting, man. Dude, nobody's ever really asked me this question. Being short. I realized that because I was different, I realized that I had to embrace who I was, and I realized that I had to embrace my differences, right? What's the point of being like everybody else? God made each and every one of us special, and it's not cool to be like everybody else, man. So as much as I wanted to be like everybody else, I realized that, shit, I was made different so I can stand out. So I can actually be truly different and not be one of 1,000 other faces. Did you see what I'm saying? So I realized that was something that was huge, man. And yeah, I think probably, right? Because I was short, I was always right in front. I was always number one. In the class line, in the class photo, I was always in front. I was always sitting in front, right? And I got noticed. So, yeah, interesting that you actually asked me that. But I guess that would have played a part in who I chose to become today.
Okay. So, when and how, because when you were, based on the story, you wanted to achieve something.
Yeah.
And when and how did you start on this track, which I think is what we call personal development, where you go and learn a lot of success principles and everything.
Yep.
When did you start, and what's the first contact?
Actually, besides personal development and all that, I think that personal development work started when I was actually in secondary school. So in secondary school, I started getting a little bit obsessed with the gym, right? And the reason why was because I was this one short guy who wasn't exactly fit, right? I still remember I was actually in a National Cadet Corps in Singapore. I was in this in Singapore we call this extracurricular activity, something like army in secondary school, right? And I was the one person who couldn't do pull-ups. So I was really, really upset at myself. So you know what I did was every freaking recess break, I would go to the pull-up bar and I'll try to pull myself up. I'll try to pull myself up. And I couldn't do it, I couldn't do it, I couldn't do it. Right? But I went every day and I freaking got my fingers bruised, I got my palms bruised, but I tried so badly. And that led to my first mentor, my first good friend who actually told me, hey, why not come to the gym and train? And I started this obsession in the gym, man. Like every day after school, the place that I went to was the gym.
That was when, what age was that?
That was when I was 14.
14 years old, you started weightlifting.
Yeah. So I started in secondary 2. So I started getting obsessed with it, man. I wanted to train so freaking badly. Every day I started training, and that became a part of my life, right? Dude, like I want you to understand that back then, that was when this discipline was inculcated. That was when consistency, that's when I learned that I had to be consistent. That's when I learned that, when other people were eating junk and whatever not, I had to eat clean, I had to eat like good food, right? So that was when I would say my personal development journey was started. And because I became really, really good at it, eventually when I was about 15 or 16 years old, I actually got selected for the national team in Singapore weightlifting as well. So that was the next part which grew me so much personally, because representing Singapore, your training and the level of intensity of your workouts and everything is on another level altogether. All right, and I had to train so freaking hard every single day, and my life was just go to school, after school training, back home, homework, repeat again and again and again. I had no time for friends, going out, parties, none of that stuff, man. And that really, really taught me some really good principles in life, which I carried forward in business and even right now as well.
Would you agree that if somebody is struggling with the issue of discipline, for example, I myself is struggling big time with the issue of discipline, that the one easiest thing that they can do is just, if other things they cannot do, maybe they can just start to do weightlifting or exercise?
I believe so, man. I believe so. But in the end of the day, exercise is one thing, right? There's a few things that can actually help. One thing that will really, really help is if you find accountability partner. I believe accountability partner in every area of our life is so important, whether it's in business. That's the reason why I invest so much in coaches. Why? Because a coach keeps me accountable, right? Like I don't investing serious money with a coach, and the reason why, like I mentioned, it's all about accountability. So in training as well, sometimes I understand how it's difficult to get accountable, right? Sure, you can say, okay, I'll go exercise. You'll go for 1 day, you'll go for 2 days. After that, you'll stop, right? So get a coach, and most importantly, interestingly, I was just I want to share this principle with you. It's about, in the end of the day, it's about integrity, man. It's about whether you keep promises to yourself, and I realized that the problem with most people is that they lack integrity.
To themselves.
To
others, maybe.
To others, possibly, right? To others, they'll keep up to what they say they'll do, somebody else. But to themselves, they are the biggest liars. They're the biggest, they say, I'll do this, and then it never happens. They say, okay, I'll go to the gym, I'll start my diet tomorrow. Tomorrow never comes. Might sound familiar to some of you, right? But I realized that that's the issue. And so how do we solve that issue? I feel that it starts with micro commitments, right? It starts with, don't promise yourself crazy shit, man. Don't start off by saying, okay, I commit to going to the gym 5 times a week. That might really be too difficult, right? But why not commit to saying that, okay, I will promise that I will do 10 push-ups every day. And it's something that everybody can do. You just get on the ground and do 10 push-ups. It takes 10 seconds, man. It depends on how fit you are. But 10 push-ups. And start with that. Right? And then slowly start increasing your commitments. And that's how you build that pattern of discipline. That's how you maintain integrity with yourself.
Okay. But what if we get off track after we start doing that?
Then it's time to start again, right? It's time to make that micro commitments and say, hey, you know what? This time I'm gonna do it, right? And so I don't like, so everything is a pattern. Everything, your body responds, your brain. I feel your everything is a pattern, right? So if, let's say, for example, you're a person who quits, then quitting becomes a habit. I never like quitting to become a habit, right? You don't want that to become a habit, so don't quit, right? Because you quit one time and then your mind tells itself, oh, it's okay if you quit again. It's okay if you quit again, and the vicious cycle just continues, right? So, but if you keep your promises, then your body will keep telling you, hey, you did it, you've been doing it, right? So maybe I can do something a little bit bigger, and then you go on a little bit at a time, and that pattern continues. And seriously, man, we all know this one thing: get 1% better. If we do one thing better at a time, slowly, when you look back after 1 year, after 2 years, you'll be like, shit, all of that has compounded to become something so huge.
Okay. So what you're saying is how you do anything is how you do everything.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely.
Okay. So before we move on, because you touched on a lot of things there, which I want to go deeper. So just now you mentioned about picking a coach, right?
Yep.
And accountability.
Mm.
And I personally had a personal trainer.
Yeah.
I still employ him from time to time.
Okay.
But what would you say in picking a coach for accountability, or what are your criteria?
What are my criteria?
How do you pick coach, and what are the coach are you having now?
So in terms of criteria, right? So he must obviously be living the life that you aspire to actually achieve, whether it's physically, right? So if it's a personal trainer, then obviously he must be in tip-top shape. He must be living what he preaches. In terms of a business coach or investing coach, for example, does the person have the results that back up what he's actually preaching, right? And look at his life. So and in the end of the day, I truly believe in holistic. I truly believe in having holistic success. So not just in terms of financial success, not just in terms of physical success. I like to look for people who have holistic, all-round success, where they are thriving in their health, they're thriving in their finances, they're thriving in their relationships, and they're not a mess. I like being with people who know how to maintain a balance and know how to win in all areas of their life, man. So that's some of the patterns that I actually look out for when looking for somebody to follow, when looking for somebody to learn from.
Okay. And but then sometimes, right, these people, what I experience is these people, they may be good themselves.
Yeah.
But what would you say is a good coach? Maybe they already have the criteria that you mentioned. What other qualities do we need? Do you want someone that is strict, or someone that
actually
just
no,
follow
man.
your style?
Actually no. Actually I love this quote. Nobody cares how much you know until they know how much you care. Right. So let me repeat the quote again. Nobody cares how much you know until they know how much you care. So yeah, man, you can be a multi-millionaire, but in the end of the day, if you don't have a heart to really sit down and help people, then what's the point to that person, right? There's no point at all. I want a coach who truly actually cares, who actually would spend the time to sit down and coach and bring me up. So I think that's very, very important, right? So that's something that I look out for as well. Who is that person who doesn't just have crazy, amazing results, but somebody who truly has a heart to care. So when I pick my coaches, in my business, I pick coaches myself, and that's the criteria I tell them, like, hey, don't worry if you're not financially, free or whatever. What I'm looking out for is people who have a heart to help, and I think that is harder to come by, actually.
So just now you were saying having integrity with yourself. Does this lead to because what I realize is you're someone that has very high confidence.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
And the thing is, I realize a lot of people, especially Malaysians, you may be watching this, you may be Malaysian or any people, but Malaysians in general don't have high confidence. That's what I feel. Especially the young people don't have very high self-confidence. Maybe they want to do something, but they don't dare to try, or they just feel maybe this is not for me yet, I'm not up to the level yet. So what do you think contribute to your self-confidence? Could it be because of the integrity to yourself? Or?
Actually, no, man. there's one specific incident in my life which caused this to happen. I wasn't like this all my life, right? Like, please don't think that you're never born confident. I don't believe in that. So I told you I lacked self-esteem when I was in primary school, all the way secondary school. I was very shy around girls, didn't dare talk to them, because I always saw myself as being this short, ugly guy, and that's probably one of the reasons why I went to the gym, right? It's interestingly, a lot of guys who go to the gym is because they lack self-esteem. Like, let's be real, right? So, like for me, going to the gym helped me build confidence. That's one thing, right? So, going to the gym changed so many aspects of my life, man. It didn't just teach me discipline; it helped me with my self-esteem as well, right? Having muscles helped me definitely. But then again, that's just exterior. Your exterior changes doesn't mean your interior changes, right? So the exterior was just to make me feel a little bit better about myself, but internally, one thing that actually shifted was I had the opportunity to have a scholarship to go to the UK to study.
At what age?
At 17. At 17, I had this opportunity to go to the UK to study. And when I actually had this chance to go overseas to study, and especially in the UK, I realized that the way school was taught, the way students interact was so different. I was around all these people who were from all over the world, and all these Europeans and from people from other countries. I realized that they spoke up, right? Like when school was done, it wasn't just like in Singapore or Malaysia where it's like teachers are keep quiet and then you listen kind of thing. It was totally not like that. They encourage participation. You speak up, and dude, that really helped me, man. And that was one thing, and I was just to say like two names. I had these two best friends of mine who were who were very interestingly, they were very outspoken. I spent a lot of time with them, and a lot of the characteristics kind of rubbed off on me, right? They were very these two guys were very they were loud and they were the top, like they were the life of the party, right? I love them to bits. Two of my very best friends, and because of hanging out with them, I suddenly gained confidence, man. They are the ones who encourage me to, hey, go and talk to this girl, go and do this, go, go and speak. And because of that, I came back and had that little bit of confidence, which was actually built as well. So I actually credit it to exercise and also to the exposure when I actually went overseas, which is why, if you're a university student, you have the chance to go overseas on an internship or whatever it is, like go for it, man. It'll be the exchange trip or whatever. It'll be the best ever thing you can do in your university career.
Okay. So, yeah, I agree with you that Asian culture, especially Malaysia, I don't know about Singapore, the school system is more towards like, I ask you to do A,
Yep.
Don't question, just do A properly.
Yep.
Don't try to be creative or what.
Yes.
But after going to self-development courses and everything, I realized actually the best way to learn is when you're having fun. Like the friends that you mentioned, they're actually having fun. That's why they're outspoken. They're being naughty, but at the same time they learn a lot.
Absolutely.
And my guess they're probably quite bright students as well.
Dude, 100%, man. Brightest students I know. One is a lawyer, one is a top accountant in one of the top 4 firms in the world.
So actually, let's say if you're lacking self-confidence or what, maybe one of the things that you can do is try to play a game with yourself. Just let yourself go and just have fun in the process.
Yep.
And also maybe going to gym can help.
Yeah, absolutely.
With your self-esteem.
That's what helped me, man. That's what helped me for sure.
And you can start by doing 10 push-ups a day. So I think we got a lot of good, really good tips, actionable things to do just from this like few minutes sharing.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about this book.
Yes.
This is Rash book and Superman. Look at this, right? Okay, so you gave me this book, I think a couple of years ago.
Yeah, when I wrote it about 3 years ago.
3 years ago.
Yeah, 3
wow,
years ago,
time flies.
Yeah.
Actually, I discovered there was an ang pao inside.
Oh, there was?
There was.
Okay.
I think I realized that about 2 or 3 years ago.
Okay.
But then I felt so ashamed because I already opened the book like half a year or 1 year after that I don't dare to tell you.
Okay.
And I only finished reading it like last month.
Okay.
But in a day I finished it. It was very easy to read.
Okay.
And I love the way you tell stories.
Okay.
So before I go on asking you what's inside this book,
Yeah.
where did you pick up because even just now in the interview, you're a speaker, author, everything. I think you have good storytelling skills.
Thank you.
Where did you pick that up?
I picked it up. My dad was a great storyteller. My father, growing up, I always love to listen to his stories, right? Like, he always had these crazy, amazing bedtime stories. He used to tell me it's ghost stories and all that. And we used to be kids, like, me, my cousins, my brother, we used to gather around my dad and he'll tell us stories, right? And I learned from a young age, I guess, from picking that up that, stories captivate. Stories pull people in. People want to come towards you because you can tell a beautiful story. So I picked it up from my dad. And as in, I love hearing stories. Everybody loves stories, right? That's why we love going to movies and stuff. But that's something that my dad was very, very good at, and maybe some of that came to me, right? But it was also a matter of act of practicing, man. I obviously attended many, many different seminars, and I realized that the best speakers and all that were the best storytellers, and that's how I incorporated it in my life as well, right? So I realized that people remember. They don't remember the theory I teach them particularly, but they remember the stories I tell them. So whenever I teach, I try to relate a story. I try to start and end my day with a particular story. And yeah, dude. So that's how I practice. I got better and better at telling these stories. And I've been doing this for nearly about 9 years now. So you get better and better over time.
Okay. Can you give us some tips on how to tell a better story? Do we just simply tell, or is there a structure?
So interestingly, like the best stories you tell are sometimes with your friends. Sometimes you're sitting around, drinking coffee in a mama, and then you tell your stories, and then and then all the friends are laughing and stuff like that. But interestingly, that's the exact way you should tell it on stage as well. But sometimes when people go on stage, they forget.
Because they're trying to act professionally.
Yeah, because they're trying to act professionally. They're trying to, put up some sort of image and stuff, right? So do it like how you tell your friends over freaking teh tarik.